The fall rains have finally come here in 2022. And if you can believe it, we're almost at the end of October and just getting our first rains. Truly, this is going to be a big deal, and I want to tell you why. Because as you can probably hear it, it is coming down. This is a lot of good things for what our area needs, but as well as our rivers, because they are at some of the most historic lows that I can remember in a long time. However, they're full of fish. So, as an angler, what does this mean? What does this provide opportunity as for us? Well, first of all, it's going to start opening up some of the rivers around us. It's going to, opportunity-wise, provide tributaries to start opening back up. It's going to get hatchery areas to open back up. And it's going to mean more fishing chances for all of us anglers to get out and go do. I'm super excited myself because I know it's going to move fish from the saltwater. It's going to move fish up the rivers, and it's going to put those fish in a biting mood as they now start traveling again. So, far as fishing-wise in itself, what are we going to talk about doing? I think it's important to start looking at a couple techniques. Whether you're off the bank or a boat, I think you want to cover as much water as you possibly can during this rainy time because these fish are moving. They are not staying in one spot anymore. They're on the move. They are beelining to the tributaries. They're beelining for the hatchery zones. So you want to be there to intercept them, and if you don't find fish there at that moment, move on and find some more fresh fish. So I'm typically going to carry 2 rods with me during this time. I'm bringing a hardware rod. I'm bringing a jigging rod, and that's a twitch rod. So I got 2 rods with me that can be easily interchanged for different techniques that I have. And I'll tell you why. So the 2 rods, I typically have like an 8.5 foot and a 7.5 foot. And the 8.5 is kind of more of a versatile rod that I can use to cast like wicked lures or weighted spinners or spoons, throw hardware. But truly, if I needed to switch over to a float, I can. It's definitely easy enough to do. And then the 7.5 foot rod is specifically a twitching rod. However, it's a great little hardware rod too if I end up switching techniques altogether on the bigger rod. So I have those 2. I run velocity rods, definitely been my favorite over the years, and really have just done so well for me. And I got 2500 size series reels on everything spooled up with typically, 30-pound braid on the twitching rods, but I also go with 12 to 15 pound mono on the hardware rod, and just seems to be good for the tributaries and hatchery areas. Don't have to do anything fancy out of the boat, typically about the same stuff as well. Overall, though, as I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to find these active moving fish, and sometimes you're going to find schools of them go by you and none of them want to bite. It just happens. But other times you're going to find active fish on the move in the rain, as particularly if the river's not going up a lot and it may be just bumping a little bit, you might be able to find one of the best days on the water you could have. Now, it's not to say that you can't use bait too, because where areas open for bait can be extremely productive. I just don't like to carry around all that mess if I don't have to. Now, there can be times when the eggs outperform hardware. There's no doubt about that. But I really have the most fun from my end running a hardware rod like a Wicked and a twitch and jig. And I can get some pretty aggressive fish right out of the gate and have my fun. And then I can always come back to bait and eggs or bait and shrimp when I need. So those are my approaches. I'm going to be getting out, putting the boots on, and really covering a lot of ground, trying to find those active fish on the move, and I'm going to have some fun. So I hope you guys take this rain as a good thing, because we need it. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Some big fish are around this year. They've had a little bit extra time to stay out in the saltwater and feed up some more. So these are going to be some big B-run coho showing up this month. And I cannot be more excited to see what happens. We'll catch you real soon. Tight lines. And as always, fish on.